Stargate SG-1 began in 1997 and ran for an incredible 10 years. But how does the story conclude? What happened to our beloved characters? Did the final episode provide all the answers we wanted? And did the creators deliver a satisfying ending? We're about to explore all that and more, so buckle up for some spoilers. It's important to note that the series has several final episodes. The creators thought the series would end 4 times and wrapped up the stories each time, only to be granted a renewal and a new lease of life. They built the most solid conclusion at the end of Season 8, when nearly every major galactic threat was resolved, and Richard Dean Anderson, who plays Jack O'Neill, left the show. And yet 2 more seasons followed on, originally intended as a spin-off called Stargate Command, but eventually tied in as Seasons 9 and 10. This gave us a fairly coherent continuation, albeit with the Goa'uld no longer the central threat. Instead, the powerful Ori emerged. But before we get into the very final episodes, let's briefly recap what happened to Jack O'Neill. He would later step into a more infrequent guest role. In the first 7 seasons, he was Colonel, leading SG-1 on missions. In Season 8, he became Brigadier General and Commander of Stargate Command. They made the change because the actor wanted to spend more time with his daughter and less time on set. And the general role was easier to film, but he still felt like part of the show to the viewers, and the transition was pretty smooth. After Season 8, however, Jack mostly stopped appearing at all. He was promoted to Major General and transferred to the Pentagon as National Security Director. His last appearance was a 3-star general in Stargate Universe in 2010. Still active, but according to Samantha Carter, nearing retirement. The show left subtle hints that Jack would retire and spend his remaining years with Carter. Samantha carries his photo in Stargate Atlantis. She confesses to Keller that she's in a relationship with an older man. O'Neill registers a motorcycle, though we never see him ride it, but we all know who is passionate about those machines. And Samantha gives an evasive answer about being not exactly single in Season 9. From all that, I firmly believe, after the series ended, O'Neill and Carter built a life together, and Jack received the ending he deserved. Drop a high five in the comments for Jack. Now, returning to the final episode, several major events reshaped the entire series. Early on, the Asgard summoned the Odyssey to their home galaxy for something momentous. The General and the team arrive, and Thor announces that the Asgard intend to gift humanity all their knowledge. Advanced weapons, shields, the Asgard core, everything. At first, it's incredible news, but it's paired with a much sadder revelation. The Asgard race is dying. They failed to resolve their cloning issues, and their last attempt left them irreparably damaged. They decide to destroy themselves and their planet before degenerating further. They install their technology aboard the Odyssey, and just as they're getting done, the Ori appear. Without hesitation, the Asgard trigger one final explosion. A race that protected the Milky Way for thousands of years vanishes in an instant. That scene ranks among the greatest in Stargate history. The Asgard were with us from the beginning to the end, and their quirky humor and big expressive eyes made them beloved by fans. The next shock comes when the Odyssey finally matches an Ori mothership in combat. Asgard tech manages to pierce the Ori shields. For the first time since their introduction, an Ori ship is defeated in battle. It's important to say an Ori ship had been destroyed before, just not in a direct ship-to-ship battle. Everything looks great until it's discovered that the Ori had tracked the ship through hyperspace. Wherever they appear, enemy vessels emerge and force the Odyssey into retreat. Carter hypothesizes the Ori are following the Asgard core and tries to disconnect it, but it's too late. The 304 is hit. Most of the crew teleports to safety, while just SG-1 and General Landry remain on board. With shields down and core still connected, the final blast to destroy the ship is incoming. At that moment, time freezes. Carter, using the Asgard core, activates a time dilation field, something previously seen on the Replicator planet. Outside, only fractions of a second pass. Inside the ship, time flows normally. From our hero's perspective, the entire universe is frozen, and only time on the ship continues. That's meant to buy Samantha enough time to solve the crisis, but days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and the answer continues to elude her. Using Asgard technology, they manage to produce the necessities: water, food, tritonin for Tilk, even musical instruments. But time passes, and no escape is in sight. Vala attempts to get close to Daniel. Mitchell throws himself into sport to stave off depression. Jackson works on translations, and Landry tends to the ship's plants. all while Carter searches for a solution. As time slips by, Vala and Daniel's tension erupts. Vala hopes for a romantic encounter, but Daniel gives her exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds of brutal clarity. A monologue about how ill-suited they are and how she's a wreck. She breaks down, and Jackson immediately shifts course. He and Vala become a couple. Whether that ending is fair to Daniel is up for debate. Personally, spending a lifetime with Vala on the Odyssey, I'd bail in a 302 in under 2 weeks, even if it did mean freezing in time. Time took its toll on the crew. Mitchell was near breaking. If it had been up to him, they'd have jumped at the first crazy idea any of the team could come up with, just to have an end to it all. And much like the effects of being caught in a time bubble, I know it can be maddening to hear this all the time, but if you like our content, please hit subscribe. It really helps small channels like ours to grow. Thanks! 20 long years pass. Jackson stays in his personal hell with Vala. Carter learns to play the cello. Mitchell calms down a bit. Landry slowly succumbs to age. Carter eventually gives up searching for a solution, and everyone resigns to living out their life on the ship. Most tragically, Samantha spent 20 years without O'Neill, knowing reunification was impossible. Maybe it's good he wasn't aboard. She might have stopped trying to fix it on day one, and maybe started using the Asgard beam to make other things. Eventually, Landry dies of old age, and the crew is shattered. And as more years pass, they all begin to show their age. Well, all except for Teal'c, who just begins to grey. Then finally, Carter discovers a way to reverse the flow of time and rewrite everything that had happened. But there's a catch. Someone has to remain behind and give young Carter a crystal with the program to detach the Asgard core in seconds, allowing for a swift escape. Otherwise, everything would happen exactly as before. One of them must keep their age when they return. Teal'c volunteers. Unlike the others, he still has many more years to live. They encase him in a force field, unfreeze time, and allow themselves to die. And as they die, time snaps back to the battle between the Ori and the Odyssey. And just before Carter activates the time dilation again, a graying Teal'c appears, hands her the crystal, and the Odyssey escapes. In the closing scene, Vala says the original SG-1 spent 50 to 60 years aboard the ship. Teal'c remembers everything, of course, but he chooses not to tell a soul. And the team carry on as though nothing had happened. The final words of the series are, "Indeed," and "Godspeed," words that mark the end of a beautiful era. The idea of spending 50 years aboard one ship struck me as fascinating. We watched our favorite characters age and live full lives. We saw them happy and also broken. We said goodbye to the General and experienced raw emotions together, but we didn't leave with the bitterness of our heroes dying alone in the cold vacuum of space. They earned a second chance. Everything was returned to the way it was. Well, not everything. Teal'c remembers, and with him remains the emotional weight of the whole ordeal. It never happened. It did happen. He lost 50 years. Though I thought the episode was strong, among the best of the final 2 seasons, it didn't offer a completely satisfying conclusion. But thankfully, we got 2 Stargate SG-1 movies after that. The Arc of Truth and Continuum both released in 2008. In the Arc of Truth, SG-1 finally defeats the Ori. Honestly, it wasn't my favorite. It felt rushed, and the Ori storyline never fully engaged me. Still, they find the Ark, show the Ori the error in their beliefs, and unravel their religion. 2 months later, Continuum arrives, and I found it much more satisfying. Time travel, alternate realities, a sharp, action-filled story, and yes, a good old-fashioned Goa'uld attack on Earth. Baal is defeated and no major enemies remain. The team decides it's time to go home. After 11 years, they've defeated Earth's enemies. Our heroes win. And the final line from SG-1 is, "When is the last time General O'Neill bought lunch?" Daniel replies, "Good point." The team heads out for dinner, the lights go out, and the credits roll. The end. To some, Stargate ended at the start of Season 8 when O'Neill became General. To others, at the end of Season 8 when he left the show. To many, in 2008 with Continuum. And for the rest, in 2011 when Stargate Universe aired, the only tenuous connection to SG-1 being the occasional cameo by Carter as a commanding officer and Daniel at SGC. Teal'c never appeared in Universe. So, will Stargate ever return? Such a beloved franchise with massive potential is almost certain to come back. So it's not such a matter of if, but when. With every major property being rebooted now, why not Stargate? But without some kind of miracle, I doubt it'll ever capture the heart of those original stories. Otherwise, much like Star Wars, it risks becoming a diluted cash grab. Stargate Origins in 2018 was, frankly, a near crime against fans. But still, thanks so much for chilling with me while I chat about this stuff. If you love Stargate, make sure to come back for the next one. I look forward to hanging out with you again soon.